want to talk a little bit about what you've learned. So you've done a lot. Like, you worked on the US side in the direct consumer origination channel. You helped us start our direct consumer origination business here in Canada. You were one of our first originators. You went on to lead a team of originators. You then led multiple teams of originators. And again, now you lead a business that goes direct to the broker channel and tries to deliver a great lending experience through that. Can you talk a little bit about what you learned through the process, and specifically process itself around process building? Because one thing that always impressed me about you and still does is your ability to really just simplify things, execute, and try to build scalable processes that, don't just work for you, but can work for the masses. You talked about, like, there was no technology. We didn't even have a CRM. In fact, to start, we didn't even have a dialer beyond our cell phones.
That's true.
So our original dialer was our cell.
Yeah.
And then our original CRM were notebooks in front of us. When you call back the Smith family at 5 p.m. and then you're running your calendar off of it. And like, that was it, right? Crazy to think that we did mortgages that way, but we certainly did. And this wasn't 100 years ago, by the way. This was like 5 years ago. So
pre-COVID, BC.
Yeah. But then you go on and you like build all these processes so that other agents can build their businesses. What do you think other agents can learn from you regarding process building and how to set up their businesses?
Yeah, I'll never forget Bob Walters. He was our COO for Rocket Companies. He came in and did a talk to, I think we're a year into the business, to Rocket Canada, but he talked about Pokioke, the Japanese term that basically means error-free, and creating processes that are error-free. And an example of this is like a microwave. If you open the microwave door, the microwave won't run. That kind of changed my whole perspective in terms of creating processes as we are scaling. And as often as possible, you can't always do it, but as often as possible, look for those opportunities to create error-proof processes in your business. And an example of this would be like a force choice in Salesforce to make sure that, somebody's clicking the right buttons and completing the right part of the form. And just looking for those opportunities. But then on top of that, when I look at an agent's day or a broker's day, they have, a $1 task, a $10 task, and a $100 task. And a lot of times we kind of get caught up doing these $1 and $10 tasks. And it's just admin work, and it's just these small things. And really, it's looking for the opportunity to try to remove those $1 and $10 tasks so you can spend more time in those $100 tasks and pay yourself and make sure that you're always focusing on the right things. And whether that's through automating those $1 and $10 tasks, or maybe specialization, creating a role for that $1 and $10 task so that you can focus on the $100 task. So those are kind of the two things that stand out to me in terms of building our process. And with Rocket Pro, we're still new, we're still growing. And these are things that I'm constantly thinking about because we have a long way to go and we have a lot of processes and things that are going to change and things that we need to build over the next few years.
Yeah. I'm thinking about assistance when you talk about that.
Yeah.
You talk about, $110, $100 an hour tasks, which I think is such an awesome mental model for an agent when you're doing your job in the day to day. And you just, you can look back on your week sometimes and maybe have created zero revenue, but feel like you spent the entire week working.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did this happen? What happened? And why am I exhausted?
Yeah.
I made no money. I got nothing done, that is tangible in terms of creating business success for me. But you have these agents out there building businesses. How do you think about assistance or leveraging the help of a team, if you will, however you want to describe them, to help you build your mortgage business and get you out of some of those, $10 an hour tasks that you could focus on $100 an hour tasks?
I think it's a great idea for independent agents, independent brokers to look at their business and try to identify, what stage of the funnel can I pass off to somebody else? And what stage of the funnel does it make sense to pass off to somebody else? And also look at what you do really well. A lot of the times, agents and brokers will say they're really good at the relationship building, the sales side of things. So focus on that. And when it comes to, working on fulfillment, collecting documents, pass that off. Look for an opportunity to pass that off to somebody. And, obviously you got to get to a certain level in your business to be able to afford to do that and for it to make sense mathematically. But I I think even on a smaller scale, there's so many tools out there nowadays to help automate some of the smaller tasks, and just always be looking for those opportunities to relieve those smaller tasks and pass things off.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things about AI nowadays.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, you could add up all the time spent. If you talk to enough clients in a week, let's say you're one of our agents and you're going to talk to, let's say, 20 clients a week. Well, historically, that was 20 clients that you had to leave notes on. So that way, when you called them back, you had to remember everything that you said. But now with AI transcription of phone calls, you really should not spend a lot of time writing notes, right? Like that should just happen for you.
Yeah.
And over the course of the week, that might be 3 hours, 4 hours of just note taking that otherwise gets replaced by actual doing. And I think you said something there that stuck out to me, which is like when you're an agent, the $100 tasks, the $1,000 tasks that I think about are like they're selling and marketing. They're selling and marketing. Every second that you're spending processing a document, reviewing bank statements, reviewing pay stubs, like that stuff all needs to get done. But those are the things that you can look at to do a cheaper way or a more efficient way, if you will, so that you could focus on what you're great at. And by the way, if you're great at reviewing pay stubs and bank statements, you may want to think about going into underwriting.
That's a good point.
You may want to think about it. And the great news is we always need great ones. And I know that many other lenders have them in high regard and in high demand, but those are two very different skill sets.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that an agent can do, from my view, and it sounds like yours, is the selling and marketing piece, communication, taking care of clients, giving them speed of certainty, giving them the communication to show them that you care, many of those things that you talked about as well.